It's just gone from bad to worse to disaster.
No one really feels safe. It's impossible to feel safe in a city like this, especially with the leadership we have.
These kids are carrying guns like around the ages of 8 years old, and they're killing other 8-year-old kids with guns. It's insane.
My opinion, not enough police officers. The police officers' hands are tied.
So the police is really unappreciative for offhand under Brandon Johnson, Lori Lightfoot, J.B. Pritzker. Those are three are the reason why nobody want to be a police.
Their policies when it comes to crime is not working at all.
I think the biggest piece of the pie has to be more police officers, more protection. That's what the people want.
Are you prepared to defend this land that was built by slaves, a land that was built by indigenous people, a land that is built by workers? Are you prepared to defend this land? The people united will always prevail. I need you all to stand firm, to stand strong. If this president decides to continue to break this country.
People of Chicago are begging for President Trump to come clean up the streets and all of the crime, just as he did in D.C. But unfortunately, there are some serious roadblocks called the law. So we'll see what Trump is actually going to be able to do. But as far as now, he's not going to be able to do exactly what he did in D.C., and I'm going to break it all down for you here today. Let's get into it.
Follow them in this bitch, deep as hell. If you ever see a train like this, go to the next one on my baby. On my baby. Do not hop on this train. You see a train this deep, go to the next one on my baby. I'm dead end.
President Trump is now calling Chicago the most dangerous city on planet Earth. Now, obviously, we're going to exclude the war zones like Gaza and the major cities in Russia and in Ukraine that are getting decimated right now. But as far as regular cities that people are walking, living, and breathing in that are not in war zones, they're saying Chicago is the worst. Now, as you see, people can't even get on the train to go to work without there being 100 usual suspects on there, smoking, drinking, with switches, guns, all of the things, you name it. All on the train, can't even get to work. And to top it all off, over the weekend of Labor Day, there were 54 people shot. 54 people were shot. That is insanity. Check out what President Trump had to say. At least 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. 8 people were killed. The last 2 weekends were similar. Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world by far. Pritzker needs help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in D.C. Chicago will be safe again and soon. Make America great again.
You're going to hear people, especially this past weekend, 54 shot, 7 dead.
Yeah.
They're going to say the city's not safe. Would you ask your friends to ride the L after midnight or after, 9 o'clock at night even to come down to the city from O'Hare?
Look, big cities have crime. There's no doubt about it. But let's just pay attention to what President Trump is doing targeting Chicago. He's overlooking red states that have much higher crime rates.
Are we doing that again? Are we playing the blame game and pointing the finger again? That's what they always do, is take the heat off of themselves and point the blame back at Trump. Well, Trump is doing this. Well, Trump is doing that. How many times are they going to do the same thing over and over again? Trump, 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 Trump. Like, he didn't even answer the question.
Concern is you have leaders in Chicago that see this, as you say. We've been reading about this for years now. Every weekend, and maybe crime has gone down. But, we had the mayor of Chicago on last week saying, we don't need any more police officers. Police officers aren't the answer. No police officers. I think he said no 5 times. You look what's happening this weekend. You look so, I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should do something radical. I think he should pick up the phone, call the president, and say, and I know, you don't have the constitutional authority to deploy the National Guard here and to police my. You can do that in D.C., you can't do that in Chicago. But let's partner up. These are the most dangerous parts of my state. we would love to figure out how to have a partnership that's constitutional, that respects the sort of balance of federalism between the federal government and the state government. And let's work together to save lives. Because right now, just hey, nothing to see here moving along. No problem here. Hey, Donald Trump, we don't need you. And, the mayor talking about we're going to protect people's dignity in our city. Well, protect their lives. That's protecting their dignity. It would be radical for us to figure out a way to actually do what I've been saying from the very beginning on Washington, and that is seeing politicians creating partnerships that protect their people.
Now, what people are expecting is 1,669 arrests, 168 guns off of the street. I mean, it's amazing what has taken place in D.C., but will that actually be able to happen in Chicago? It doesn't look like it, because Trump's not able to use the same tactics in Chicago as he was able to use in D.C. Now, there is still a way if he starts to invoke the Insurrection Act, but there could be significant roadblocks to that. Now, he's not going to be able to federalize the police department, and there's going to be some troubles with bringing the National Guard in, because J.B. Pritzker has control of the National Guard, and that's going to be a whole back and forth fiasco as well. But I'm sure the Trump administration could figure out a way to take control of the National Guard and figure out some way to say that Chicago is in such bad shape. And if they could somehow frame it as the law has been in a complete breakdown and law enforcement is completely failing and they have no choice but to call on the president, then I'm sure he could pull that off. But J.B. Pritzker is going to fight him tooth and nail on that. So we will see what comes out of it. But as of now, it looks like this is war between J.B. Pritzker and President Trump.
If he comes to Chicago, he's going to be in court, and he's going to be sued by the state, he's going to be sued by the city, and I believe that there will be private interests that also sue him. This is not about violent crime, and I don't think we should pretend that this manufactured crisis and his attempt to provoke people in Chicago is legitimate exercise of power. It is not.
To say that President Trump bringing the National Guard and trying to clean up the streets of Chicago is not about violent crime might be almost as crazy as Lori Lightfoot looks. Unbelievable. Something's got to be going on with these people, man. I just don't understand. Do they just hate everyone in Chicago? Do they just want to see the downfall of every human being in their surroundings? What is happening? Where is the logic in this? Somebody really needs to do something. It just blows my mind that somebody could be worse than Lori Lightfoot, which is Brandon Johnson. And the mastermind behind it is J.B. Pritzker. It's all starting to make sense. They hate your guts, Chicago, and apparently these type of people hate America too. We cannot let these people make it any further than they are now. If Brandon Johnson or J.B. Pritzker were to make it any further in their careers, such as J.B. Pritzker becoming president or Brandon Johnson becoming a governor somehow, oh my goodness, I could not even imagine the death and destruction we would see from these people, because clearly they hate America. There's no other explanation. They're defending illegals. It's a sanctuary city. They do nothing to stop the violent crime in their cities and stop the black on black crime. This is wild. And look, there's people on the ground level that will tell you the truth, just like Danielle Carter. Check it out.
Past 2 months, we've had 7 mass shootings. Just this Labor Day weekend alone, we had 3 mass shootings, 52 people shot, and 7 people lost their lives. And you have these idiots protesting. What are they protesting? What are they protesting? You have Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker and the rest of these Democrats. They're at home enjoying their holidays in their big, safe homes with their, security surrounding them. And we have family members that are planning a funeral instead of celebrating Labor Day. Where your black leaders at? Where those black leaders at? Where y'all at? Where y'all at? These were all black people. So where y'all at? All your black leaders, all your Democrat shields, where you at? Oh, black lives don't matter? Oh, black lives don't matter, huh? They don't matter unless they get shot by a white police officer. Then black lives matter. So where y'all at? Where you at? I don't see none of y'all on the front line. I don't see none of you all protesting these deaths, these mass shootings that we are steady having in our community. I don't see none of you all protesting, but yet you all downtown protesting President Trump from coming in, from bringing help, from bringing the National Guards. You have Brandon Johnson, Governor Pritzker, and the rest of these no good Democrats that were elected. You elected them to represent you, yet they're more concerned about illegal aliens, people who broke the law to get here. They're more concerned about protesting for them, that ICE don't come in and get them, even the illegal alien criminals. They're more concerned with protesting for them than for the people, the 52 people who got shot and the 7 people that lost their lives just in a span of 3 days. So that don't matter. The citizens don't matter. The black faces don't matter. Let them kill each other. We're going to make sure we don't get them help. We're going to make sure we try to stop and protest the people or the President Trump who's trying to get them help. We're going to make sure we stop that. But how dare you, no, how dare you come in and try to get these illegals up out of our community? How dare you come in and try to do something that's going to help the black community? How dare you do that? Oh, no, that's racist. That's racist.
We can actually solve crime in the city of Chicago with my plan.
We will never be able to end gun violence in Chicago as long as the president continues to allow tens of thousands of guns to be trafficked into our state and our city.
Something like 50 plus shootings, 52 people, I should say, were shot in Chicago, 30 different shootings over the holiday weekend, 7 people killed. Aren't numbers like that still a problem that your city needs to address? What more can be done to address that?
Well, I think that what we need to do is we also had a mass shooting in a Catholic school. We also have had many instances where the administration has really escalated, exacerbated the violence in our country, in our cities. Trump is a dictator. I think we got to be very clear. He's trying to normalize violence. He's trying to normalize military deployment in American cities like LA, DC, Chicago, and many others to come. But what we have not seen is really a systemic investment that will actually address the core issues. I had shootings in my ward. One of them was a tragic shooting of an unhoused neighbor. So the Trump administration is saying that they're going to address the issue of unhoused residents by putting them in jails, in concentration camps. Are they going to address the issue of violence by withholding $800 million that have gone to the cities like Chicago for violence prevention programs?
Have you noticed a pattern yet? Have you noticed a pattern yet? It's the same thing over and over from all these people. All they do is reshift the focus back to saying Trump bad, Orange Man bad. That's all they can do. They never take accountability for anything, and they just blame President Trump. That's all they can do. How much longer can this game go on before everybody realizes the jig is up? I mean, this is wild. He didn't answer the question again, just like other times in this video that I've showed you guys. They never answer the question, and they just say, but Trump. Like, come on, man. I'm so tired of this. And I just really hope that people can catch on, to understand that these people are playing you. And as long as people don't open their eyes and realize that these mainstream media people are just reshifting the focus and not taking accountability, we're going to keep hearing the same stuff over and over again. Now, J.B. Pritzker is the king of all of this bad stuff. Well, it might be Gavin Newsom, but they're running neck and neck. Okay? I want you to really think about this. If they can't be honest about their crime in their own cities and take accountability for the terrible crime and the negativity that has taken place, businesses moving out of their cities, everything getting decimated, then how could we ever trust them to be president, right? J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom guaranteed are both going to be running in 2028. You got to keep your eyes open for these people because they shouldn't be in leadership. I want you to listen closely to what J.B. Pritzker is going to say over these next couple minutes and really think to yourself, do you think this guy should be in leadership and running an entire state? Does he have your best interest at heart, or any of the people in Illinois at that? Because the words that come out of his mouth prove to me that he does not care about his people. Check it out.
First, I want to address the president's unhinged remarks a few minutes ago, begging me to call him. No, I will not call the president, asking him to send troops to Chicago. I've made that clear already. I know this has been an unsettling and difficult 10 days for the people of Chicago and Illinois. I'm going to do my best to share what we know as of today and speak frankly to the people of Illinois. Rumors have been swirling about what the White House has planned, and sifting fact from fiction has been increasingly difficult because Donald Trump's administration is not working in coordination with the city of Chicago, Cook County, or the state of Illinois. I want to take a moment at the top of my remarks to note how truly extraordinary it is for the federal government to refuse to coordinate with local law enforcement and government. Our state police regularly works with the FBI, the ATF, the DEA to go after gangs and gun runners and drug cartels. Under previous White House administrations, we regularly received notice and worked together on crime-fighting operations. This city has hosted major political conventions, flashpoint events like the NATO conference, and huge sports and entertainment gatherings over the years and across many presidential administrations. All those events required significant coordination between all levels of government. Some, like the Democratic National Convention last year, even required a limited deployment of the Illinois National Guard for broad security purposes, including especially preventing terrorism. For that four-day event, there were conversations and meetings that began 1 year before the convention between my office, the mayor's office, the county board president's office, CPD, state police, the FBI, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. The mayor and I were briefed at the highest levels of government, and we pledged unwavering support in the effort to pull off a convention that kept attendees safe and protected the rights of all citizens to express their First Amendment rights. The convention was a true success because of that collaboration. Fighting crime requires coordination. We have experienced nothing like that over the past several days and weeks. On Saturday, the head of the Illinois State Police received a phone call from CBP's Chief Patrol Agent, Gregory Bovino, indicating that ICE would be deploying to Chicago. It's the first outreach we have received from the Trump administration on this topic. Bovino was short on details and long on rhetoric. So in the absence of significant federal coordination, we've gathered information from unauthorized patriotic officials inside the government and from well-sourced reporters about Donald Trump's plan, which is to deploy armed military personnel to the streets of Chicago. I'm aware that the President of the United States likes to go on television and beg me to call and ask him for troops. I find this extraordinarily strange, as Chicago does not want troops on our streets. I also have experience asking the President for assistance, just to have the rug pulled out from underneath me when execution meets reality. I refuse to play a reality game show with Donald Trump again. What I want are the federal dollars that have been promised to Illinois and Chicago for violence prevention programs that have proven to work. That is money that Illinois taxpayers send to the federal government, and it's an insult to any and every citizen to suggest that any governor should have to beg the president of any political party for resources owed their people.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. You said that you would be opposed to having an extension of the National Guard's presence here. Since the crackdown began, carjackings have dropped 66% and robberies have dropped 28% and violent crime 15%. And you've been opposed to this since their presence here began, but are Democrats finding themselves on the wrong side of this issue at all with such reports? They're a bit beneficial.
I had a very good conversation with the mayor of the District of Columbia. I'm going to continue to support her position. Every single area of criminal activity that you mentioned was on the way down prior to the arrival of the National Guard. I'm going to continue to personally support the Metropolitan Police Department of the District of Columbia. I'm going to support the Chicago Police Department, the New York Police Department, and police officers who protect and serve all across the country. And if those local police departments conclude that they want some support from the federal government, then I support that effort by those local police departments to partner with the federal government. It's as simple as that. Donald Trump is not going to get away with lecturing anybody about issues of law and order. His administration is the very definition of lawlessness and disorder.
I can't take it anymore, man. I can't take it anymore. The same thing over and over. Like, cut the crap. Look, 51 people shot, 8 people lost their lives. Let's put the BS behind us and figure out a way to really get this crap cleaned up. JB Pritzker, you need to get on the phone with President Trump and get your streets cleaned up. If you ever want to have a shot of being in your family business again, maybe you should show you can be a good person for once and clean up your streets. Stop the crazy amount of crimes in your cities in Illinois. Get Brandon Johnson out of there. You guys are ridiculous, man. You guys are a joke. JB Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, both of these guys are absolutely a joke. And let's not forget to throw Gavin Newsom in there. All of these people make me absolutely sick. Hakeem Jeffries, all of these Democrats, they're all proving they do not care about the American people if they're not willing to work with the president to get crime cleaned up, and they use it to fit their narrative to say Trump is a bad person when people keep losing their lives weekend after weekend, day after day, and they just want to sweep it under the rug. I am sick and tired of it. And look, we cannot let these people make it any farther. We cannot let these people make it to the presidential office, because if that happens, the United States will end up just like the UK. You guys drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts down below. You watch the Unexplained Outlook, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.